The people that are going to win this year and moving forward are going to be, one, the people who are just seen more than other people, right? Like, which means that you're also going to have to level up your game of posting, of being seen, maybe of, of just kind of like your content production and creation. Like, even if you notice, I don't know if y'all following me on Facebook and Instagram, but I go live every day now. You know what I'm saying? For like 30 minutes. Like, it's going to be stuff like that, like just to be seen more, you know what I mean? And then also people who have a recognizable brand. That's going to be key, because in the noise, when you think about human psychology, the noise that's out in the marketplace, people tend to, and you'll get some drips, but people tend to gravitate towards brands they know, like, and trust. Right. So ET is still going to eat because he's ET. He's known. You may likely rock with ET more than you rock with somebody else that you don't know, especially if you got 1,000 options. Let me just go with the person I feel like I know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so people are going to start going with brands that are more recognized, because now the trust factor is there. When there's too many options, the easiest option is just to go what you already know, to do what you already know. You know what I mean? So that's really what I've been focused on this year. Being seen more, producing and providing more value and content in the marketplace, and then also building my brand where I'm going to be associating myself with well-known brands. Saying, like, I want to have people who are well-known, that's going to draw the attention on, because that's going to build up my brand equity. Process, when we run ads, you don't just go from clicking on the ad to talking to Terrell. No, we don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to go through a process. You get content, you get emails from me. And even before you jump on a call with me, you jumping on a call with somebody from my team who's going to collect information from you. They're going to tell you, you got to watch this homework. You got to watch these videos. You got to read this. Like, we make you jump through a couple hoops, because, and if you fall flat in those hoops, then we already know that you wasn't a fit. Right. But if you come through the process, you watched it, you did the homework, you know who I am. And part of that is an authority building process, because you might see an ad, you might like what I'm saying in the ad, but then you may not feel the sense of urgency to sign up. You know what I'm saying? So we build it within our process to generate that sense of urgency. We build it within that process, so you know who I am. You see me speaking on stages, you hear my story, you see the framework, you see the testimonials, you feel what I'm saying? Like, you see everything.
Exactly.
So then by the time you get to me, it ain't even selling. I'm basically talking about how it's just a conversation about what you need, what your challenges are, what we have, and this is what it's going to do for you, and this is the price. Like, that's literally what it is. I never feel like I'm selling.
Right.
You start off with your network. That's easy. The easiest thing to do is start with your network. So, like, for me, this is why I tell people all the time, like, be part of programs, be part of masterminds, because the people that I have that I'm connected to are people that I'm in programs with. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you don't know who Tim is going to be in another year. You know what I'm saying? He might blow up, you know what I mean? And, like, you did an interview with him, you know what I mean? Like, you know where I'm going to be at in another year, 2 years, 5 years, right? So it's like, you start with the network that you have now. So the first 2 interviews, right? So the very first interview that I don't know which one I'm gonna drop first, but one of the first interview that I actually did, it just so happened to be a friend of the family. You know what I'm saying? One of my cousins knew, somebody who was in the movie industry, and we kind of had it was, I didn't really know them that intimately, but like, they showed up to my wedding and things of that nature, right? So it was close enough. It was a close enough reach to where when I spoke to that person, they say, yo, I actually know somebody who owns, they own like a few, they own like a few, what's the name of the hamburger? Not Subways, what's the other one? Mike and Ike's. They own like a few Mike and Ike franchises. They actually are, they actually got like platinum records. They're known in the industry. They used to work for Universal. They got platinum records. They got da-da-da. And it was like, yo, if you looking to interview somebody who's achieved some success, I can contact, that happened to be my man Eric Nix, who spoke at last year's PCS boot camp. She said, I got access to him, and then I could connect you guys. So she connected us through text. And literally from that, he spoke at the boot camp last year. And then now when I said I was dropping a podcast this year, that's who I'm dropping a podcast with. And he has connections to everybody in the industry. We was having a conversation the other day. He was like, yo, yeah, like we can get like Timberland, we get that. He was like, yo, I got a hit. You know, I've been knowing LL for years. I was just looking at his stories. He was just with Busta Rhymes for like Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? So he knows everybody in the industry. And that just happened because I just had a conversation and she made an introduction for me. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it's going to work, is getting yourself in the environments. They'll go to a live event. Maybe they'll pay. They might have to pay to go to a conference or something, but they'll pull a person to the side and talk to them. And then now, next thing you know, you might have them on your show as a guest. You know what I mean? Even if you are new, you know what I'm saying? Like because they want the exposure, especially if you catch somebody on a promo run, and they got a new book or they got something coming out, they might jump on anything. You know what I mean? So and that's one of the things I'm doing this year too, is attending more live events, attend events where you can meet people. I remember so when you're in person, because I find that it does get a little bit tough if you're trying to, especially depending on how big they are, how much influence they have. It does get a little bit tough when online, when you're just trying to reach out to them. But those are hacks, right? So ask people, go to live events. And I'm gonna tell you another hack. Another hack is pay for a product or service that they have, especially if they have a service. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like if they have a service and you pay for it, now you know them, you spent money with them, which means that you probably have some type of contact with them. If you have contact with them, you may have an ability to, and if that might mean you may need to upgrade, you know what I'm saying? You might need to do whatever, but if you really want to get somebody, pay for their service so you can get their ear. And when you got their ear, they're usually willing to work with you some type of way. And we connected. How do we connect? Because we part of a mastermind together. You know what I'm saying? So we part of another program together. We connected. I've been helping him out with some stuff. You know what I mean? He wanted like to create a course and certain things that I was just helping him out with. And then also, but guess what? He's also very well connected. You know what I'm saying? Very well connected. And he's super close with 50 Cent. You know what I'm saying? So you see, if you mess around and see me interview 50 one day, you know what I'm saying? Or you never know, you know what I mean? But if that ends up transpiring, that could be a situation right there. You know what I mean? Especially because one of the things I'm doing for him is I'm creating him a course, because he also he's like I call him the Michael Jordan of networking. You know what I'm saying? So he also has he also has different projects he's got going on. And I'm like, yo, I'm helping him create the course. I'm probably going to end up working with him and running some ads for him, depending on the different projects he has. And that might result in a good situation or a good outcome. And then he might say, yo, 50, you need to do this. Because I've been wanting him to do a course or some type of program. Because I'm like, yo, I'm interested in learning more from him in terms of business. And I know there's millions of people out here that would love to learn. Like people was buying up his book like crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I know for a fact, if he came out with some kind of course or program, people are going to be all over it. But sometimes it can be hard to get in contact with decision makers. But I figured out a hack from one of my mentors, who's Evan Carmichael, who's one of the world's largest YouTubers. So y'all know, right? So Evan Carmichael was telling me, and actually he's going to be a speaker at the boot camp this year too. So he's flying out from Canada. So anyway, but he was telling me, he said, Terrell, all you need to do, he said, if you want to get in contact with decision makers, like clients, high level clients, especially too, he said, interview them. He said, when you interview, he said that everybody likes to be interviewed. And especially if you're like in a niche where people don't really get interviewed like that, and especially if it's like an organization, a VP of this, so you know what I'm saying, or if it's behind the scenes people, but the behind the scenes people be the money, especially if it's organizations, it be the people who got the money. You know what I'm saying? So like you want to, but find those people, interview them, and it's not necessarily because it's going to get the most engagement, but you're doing it to create a connection. You're doing it to show them love, but you also doing it to create a conversation and see how y'all can do business together. What I'm doing is I'm like, okay, I know we got a lot of dope people out here. You know what I mean? So I'm finding some of the dopest people that are out here that I can interview and do business with. So that's one. And then the podcast is going to be for the exposure. And what I'm excited too is like these are brands that people recognize and love, but you never get a chance to hear or see behind the scenes of it outside of like an article, but it don't usually be people inside of the company who's actually doing it. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, so that's why, you know, I'm excited about, I literally was just Googling, I just did a list probably like a couple of days ago. I'm like, let me see all of the tech companies, the largest tech companies that are in New York City. And I just got a whole list of all of the tech companies, like, you know, Google, all these different who got locations out here and all of that. I'm like, yep, we about to hit them. We're going to be hitting all of them. And as we continue to level up and get on, you know what I mean? We working with each other, you know what I mean? We lifting each other up, you know what I mean? And we providing each other with opportunities. So keep an eye out, you know, if you know somebody who could be on Beth's podcast or yours, you know what I mean, Tim or mine, you know what I'm saying? Y'all come across somebody, hit me up and be like, yo, Coach T, I met, you know, somebody such and such who has this position at, you know, whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? Like this, they might be also be a good person and make introductions. You know what I mean? Like that's how you build networks. That's how you show love. That's how you get people who the next time you want something or need something or you come across because you've been showing love, they have no problem extending a hand. So the AI, man, is serious, man. I mean, use it. So first of all, use it. You know what I mean? Like I've been using it too, you know what I mean? And so I would say use it at the same, but use it to stay above the trend, you know what I'm saying? Especially right now, while folks are really starting to understand it, like you can really get ahead right now and like be one of those where you're starting to be known or seen more. And a lot of that really comes down to frequency, you know what I mean? It just comes down to like, and I'm even like having because I'm like a one or two posts a day type of person, and sometimes just one, if that, right? It's just like, because sometimes I'm busy, I'm doing a bunch of different things, but I'm like, it's worth it right now. It's worth it to put in the extra time and extra effort, which is one of the reasons why I'm excited why I started doing our daily live sessions, which is called Recharging Your Business. And I go live for 30 minutes every day. Each week we have a different theme. So like the theme of this week was or is creating digital products, right? So I talked about like how to come up with a niche. I talked about like how to put together the curriculum, how you know what you're going to teach. Today, we talked about how to validate a proof of concept for your business and where to go and what you need to do to make sure you're not just creating things and you actually people really want it. So I'm doing that. But then guess what? I can take that. I can package it. I can sell it. I can take that. We could slice it up. We got reels.
No doubt.
Right? I can take that, we could slice it up. We got, or I can just take each and every one of those, we create a blog post from it, right? Which AI can do. We could, I mean, there's just so many different things, right? That I want to leverage my VA team and leverage AI with creating more content more consistently. And I want to do it on all platforms. You know what I'm saying? So like, so that's where we're at with it. And then that's going to continue to bring exposure and also bring leads at the same time.